Hello, my name is Rick Cruz and I coach managers, executives and teams in the business world to the threshold of their own wisdom and awareness, I hope, so they can authentically realize their personal and business goals. I do that with my 21st century coaching, which is truly ahead of its time in terms of its refinement to determine every individual's design and blueprint. Basically, we're with 7.8 billion people on this planet, and not two people are alike. So we are a pretty diverse and creative lot, or gene pool, if you wish. Now, one of the very nice things about seeing somebody's design is that you can actually determine the political inclination. Are they more socialist or capitalist? Are they liberal or are they even communist? Are they more inclined towards the monastery, the royal house, the monarchy, or are they more towards more tribal, feudal institutions? It's really funny because we have that in our design. Now that tells me two things. First of all, we're all born with a fixed blueprint or design which we basically have to live by, which we all more or less unconsciously automatically follow or even have to follow to live our specific life. And secondly, it makes you aware of the fact that nobody's got the full perspective. Nobody's got the full truth and knowledge in this world. We all have, as I call it, a facet of the multifaceted diamond, and that's our perspective. Just like me, I have a certain perspective that's good for me, but that not might be the same as yours or all the other people that I meet. Maybe sometimes, but not usual. And this is a very important distinction in coaching, because most coaching I still see is happening from the vantage point that the coach himself or herself knows what's best through experience, through work, whatever, and then prints it out on everybody else. I take the other stand. I look at somebody's design and I think, gee, this is the good way for that person, this is the good way for the other person, and may not be totally not my way. It may be totally different, and it quite often also is. So if we look at the main four energies that flow through our design, then first of all we have integrational, and integration is really for oneself. It's empowerment, self-empowerment. It basically doesn't care about the other. It's the old primeval man, it's we call in Dutch the oermens, the person that's the basic human design, that's the basic human being, from the source, the backbone, the strength. But it's very individual. It's very aimed at itself and its own advantage. It really sits on the top of the hill and says, I'm alive, and down the bottom of the hill all those people lie and they're all dead, but I'm the winner. That's really integrational. So that's how human beings are or were. And then we have the individuality. There's people, basically a little bit the freaks and the creative geniuses. They always jump out of the box. They never stay within the box of the others. They have crazy ideas, brilliant ideas, sometimes very stupid ideas, but they're quite often the people that inspire us to new things. They invent new things. They come up with new things. They discover new things. In the beginning, that can lead to a lot of confusion or resistance, but in the end, quite often, if it's good, they win and their ideas get integrated in society, and many years later, they're accepted as normal and like things have never been anything different. So that's about the individual, and he's very much about empowerment. That means an individual who scores well empowers other people, whereas the integration person I talked about before doesn't empower anybody else. It's only about their self-empowerment. But individual people, they're really about empowerment of other people. Example, the successful politician that gets involved and gets a large backing, or the businessman who's very successful and gets the best people to work for him in his organization, or even more appealing, the sportsman or the artist. The sportsman scores a great goal and they win the match, or he does that repeatedly, or the ice skater who always wins the 5 or the 10,000 meters. These people, then the next day old boys buy soccer shoes and ice skates because they're inspired by their idol, by their hero. It's also like with girls and boys, running after their artists, pop artists or musician or whatever, a composer that all of a sudden is the hit, and then everybody thinks and feels and dresses and looks and eats and drinks and whatever does like him, and they have all their records and posters. So that's the kind of idolization of the successful individual that's inspiring, empowering other people to do the same or go also their great way. Okay, and then you have the third energy, that's tribal. Tribal is really about the sword, the team, the family, the organization, the rules that count within. Basically it says, we eat the same, so we smell the same, so you belong to us. It's a bit that thing. But tribal is a lot about bargains. I do something for you, you do something for me. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Like old-fashioned way in families, the husband would take care of making the money, so there's plenty of resources for the family to live by, and the woman would take care of the house and the kids. These things are rapidly changing, but these were old institutions. Or, in politics. Basically, politics and business is all built on tribal bargains, which we often call corruption, but it's not corruption, it's the way the world works, You know somebody and you like him and you work with him, you probably give him a favor far sooner than an outsider you don't. So tribal is really about maintaining the sword, the team, the country. When Trump said America first, he means tribally first America and not collectively first the world, first the tribe. It's a very authentic move. We call it often populism, but that's the wrong slogan for it. It's really the protection of our own kind in this wide world that expanding, and we don't know where to, and are we going to lose our identity or our group or our family or our culture or our country. So tribal has an important part to play in keeping people and organizations and teams and families also together. And then the final one is what I just said, is the collective one. And the collective one is, like I said, I develop rules for everybody. You often see that with parents. They develop the rules for all their kids. This is how you live, this is how you behave, this is what you do. Now I can extend this to a certain extent when you live in the house of the parents, but it's also something, it can be subduing. And in the collective, for instance, the most perfect example is the government that more and more decides to rule and run and control our lives, and puts down the rules that are, according to their laws, good for everybody. Like right now, whether right or wrong, everybody should be vaccinated against corona. Nobody knows yet if that's really true, because some of those vaccines are not even tested for 1 year. Whereas every vaccine, every reliable vaccine, should be tested with placebos and everything for 5 or 6 years. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that discussion, but it's obvious that the collective lays down the rules for everybody. We all have to live the same way. We all have to adhere to the rules. We have to obey. We have to obey to the collective. Now, basically, what we're going into in the new age, that's why my coaching is called, in the subtitle, The Road to Individuation and Self-Awareness. We're going into a far more individual world, where each individual counts, and each individual should develop to their own qualities, to their best abilities, and each individual is unique. And that's where we have all the turmoil for. But so if you want to look at that in your company, how that functions in your company and what you would like, have more or less of, it's valuable to talk to me, and I can help you address that issue and analyze that in your team and your organization, and see what's really paramount at the moment and what you maybe would like to add or change. So if you want to know more, get in touch with me at Rick Cruz at calypsocoaching.nl, and I'd love to answer your questions and have a good talk with you. Thank you very much.